He had the looks, the fame, and the admiration of millions. Yet for decades, one question lingered in the minds of fans. Why had Cliff Richard never married? The man who sang so tenderly about love, who brought joy to countless lives, seemed destined to walk a life without a life partner. Now, at 85, Cliff has opened up about the pressures that fame imposed on him from the very start, the promises he made to God and himself, and the quiet truths he has carried for more than half a century. Behind the songs, behind the charm, behind the faith, was a man navigating two worlds: the brilliance of the stage and the life he never fully lived. And the choices he made would shape everything that followed, a delicate balance between devotion to music, discipline, and the longing for human connection. From Harry Webb to Cliff Richard. In the late 1950s, Britain was still recovering from the shadows of war, seeking brightness after years of grey. Out of that quiet emerged a shy teenager named Harry Webb, who would soon become Cliff Richard. Barely 18, he was thrust into a world that demanded more than any young man could naturally give. Overnight, he transformed from a Hertfordshire schoolboy into a symbol of hope, youth, and rebellion. Fame arrived like a storm, with screaming fans filling theatres, radios playing his songs endlessly, and reporters shadowing him from church halls to concert stages. Within months, Cliff was no longer just a singer. He was the face of British pop. Yet at home, he was still a boy in many ways, asking permission to leave the table, deferring to his parents, learning that the world could admire him without truly understanding him. He felt the weight of expectations before he even knew how to handle them. And he discovered early that survival meant obedience, composure, and measured action. Discipline over indulgence. Producers wanted him to be a British Elvis Presley, clean yet daring, charming yet safe. Cliff followed their guidance quietly, rarely arguing, learning that control was the key to longevity in an unforgiving industry. Every interview, every public appearance, every gesture was deliberate, and he guarded his privacy not out of shyness, but out of necessity. Fame had arrived too early, and he sensed that the more of himself he gave away, the less would remain for him. Friends recall a young man older than his years, working tirelessly, rehearsing late into the night, touring without pause, smiling through exhaustion. While some artists found freedom in fame, Cliff found structure, order, and discipline, anchoring himself in routines that allowed him to endure the whirlwind of stardom without losing his faith or sense of self. The price of fame applause was intoxicating, but it always reminded him of what he lacked: stillness, normality, and the intimacy of a life outside the public eye. He built walls, not from arrogance, but from self-preservation. The boy who once dreamed of love songs now wielded them as a shield, keeping romance and deep connection at a distance. As records topped charts and films filled theatres, the lesson became clear. He could achieve everything visible to the world, but there would be limits to what he could experience in private life. Discipline kept him safe from scandal, but it also became a barrier to companionship. In a world clamoring for intimacy, Cliff had learned to navigate life without needing anyone by his side. Love that could not be as fame grew, public curiosity about his private life intensified. Fans wrote letters, pleaded for glimpses into his heart, and tabloids dissected every handshake, every glance, in search of the woman who might finally capture his affections. Yet the truth behind closed doors was far more nuanced. Cliff experienced tenderness and affection, but always within boundaries he set for himself. His first serious relationship with Delia Wicks, a dancer who had admired him long before his fame, was brief yet meaningful. They imagined a future together, a quiet home, a family beyond the stage lights, but Cliff was already part of a machine that never paused. Tours, filming schedules, press calls, each minute consumed. He told himself there would be time later, but later never arrived. The friendships that lasted opportunities for love came and went. Yet Cliff maintained boundaries born not from fear of connection, but from purpose. He was charming, kind, thoughtful, and yet always reserved. Even when he formed deep friendships with people who seemed right for him, he held back, choosing to preserve his focus on faith and music over romantic pursuit. By his late 20s, his life had shifted in ways that would define him forever. Faith became central, a guiding principle that informed every decision. Marriage to him was more than companionship. It was a sacred promise, one he believed could not coexist with the demands of constant touring and performing hundreds of nights a year. Love, he realized, could be experienced without marriage, and devotion could exist without romantic fulfillment. A friendship that endured. In the early 1970s, Cliff met someone whose presence tested the boundaries of his self-imposed restraint. She understood the world he inhabited without needing to explain it. Their connection was built on shared values, trust, and an unwavering respect for privacy. What began as professional admiration blossomed into a deep friendship that lasted a lifetime. Together, they navigated fame, charity work, and the pressures of public expectation, sharing conversations about meaning, morality, and staying true to oneself. While their chemistry on stage suggested love to viewers, Cliff kept their relationship platonic, believing companionship could exist without romance, and that love did not always need to lead to marriage. That friendship became his emotional anchor, a presence that sustained him through decades of speculation, misunderstanding, and loneliness. Faith as foundation. In 1966, Cliff Richard made a decision that reshaped his life. He was baptized and committed himself to Christianity, viewing faith not as a performance, but as a discipline that guided every choice. Daily scripture, prayer, and service became central to his existence. This commitment clarified his approach to relationships and life, reinforcing the principle that marriage was a sacred union not to be entered lightly. Touring endlessly, living in transient spaces, constantly performing, he knew that any marriage under such circumstances would lack the depth and stability it deserved. Discipline, restraint, and dedication to purpose became his pathway, and though misunderstood at times, it brought him clarity and peace. Living a life of choice. Throughout his career, Cliff faced scrutiny and speculation, yet he never allowed public opinion to dictate his choices. When asked about love or marriage, he responded with grace and humor, refusing to defend decisions that were deeply personal. He recognized that mystery invites projection, and that curiosity cannot define the value of a life well lived. His composure protected him, but it also created loneliness, a solitude that fame alone could not fill. Through decades of success, he cultivated a life rich in friendship, faith, and service, finding fulfillment in ways that extended beyond romance. Building a different kind of family. Cliff never lived in isolation. He surrounded himself with trusted friends and colleagues who shared his values, providing support, companionship, and understanding. These relationships became his chosen family, offering the stability, loyalty, and affection that marriage might have provided. Friends recall his warmth, generosity, and humor, a side of him invisible to the public eye. Together with his manager Bill Lamb, Cliff navigated the complexities of fame, cultivating trust and enduring friendship. Through mentorship, community, and shared purpose, he built a life of meaning and connection, demonstrating that love exists in many forms, not only in romantic unions. A life without regret. At 85, Cliff Richard stands as one of the few living icons from the golden era of pop, having navigated fame, faith, and personal choice with unwavering conviction. He speaks with acceptance about the choices that puzzled the world, explaining that marriage simply never felt right for him. There is no bitterness in his reflection, only acknowledgement that his singleness allowed him freedom, focus, and peace. He recognizes moments of longing, but accepts the trade-offs that allowed his music, faith, and friendships to flourish. The life he built, complete with devotion, loyalty, and service, offered him rewards beyond what romantic love might have provided. The quiet strength of conviction. Cliff's discipline was often misunderstood, mistaken for avoidance or isolation, yet it was a conscious choice rooted in faith and purpose. By resisting the fleeting attractions of scandal, he preserved his integrity and peace. While peers succumbed to pressures of fame, he remained steady, navigating decades of public curiosity with grace. Silence became a shield, protecting both his private life and the relationships he valued most. Legacy of a pop icon. Cliff Richard's journey teaches that fulfillment is not measured by societal expectations. Fame and success can coexist with integrity when guided by values, and love can be expressed in many forms beyond marriage. His story is one of patience, perseverance, and prioritization, showing that a life devoted to purpose and faith can provide profound satisfaction. Through decades of music, charity, and meaningful friendships, Cliff has left an indelible mark on both the public and the private spheres of those he touched.